Dress how you want to be perceived. It sounds simple, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. That social media is at an all-time high. We have a lot of influencers, we have new artists and stuff that's coming out, and they seem to influence a lot of our fashion and style. And I'm kind of just, I like trendy stuff. I like trends, and I'm not here to push my fashion sense on you, but just seeing certain things and kind of studying up on the topic, it makes perfect sense on why I'm bringing this to you, because I just feel like, especially with our younger crowd, we need to hear more of this. We need to have people that are going to kind of guide them, or that job or that date, or just being able to walk out the house and look a certain way, because my grandmother always said, like, you never know who you might meet. So I really take that personally as far as my clothing. Now, I am human. I will go out to the grocery store and have on, sweats and a bonnet. I have done that. I am not saying that I have not done that, but usually the time when I do that, that's when I see everybody. So I kind of am more conscious of how I go out. Even though I'm making quick runs, sometimes I don't really care. Like, if I know I'm going out and I need to make a quick run, I don't care who I see, because I don't want to talk. And a lot of times what you have on says, are you approachable or are you standoffish? So sometimes I don't want to be approachable. I want to be able to just get in, do what I need to do, and leave. So your clothing speaks for you before you speak. And I just feel like with the topic, dress how you want to be perceived, is pretty much just that. I put on the clothing to show, this is how I want you to treat me. This is how I want to be perceived. If I'm walking in a room, this is how I feel that you should treat me. I go to work, and in the environment that I'm in is very business casual, but I'm pretty much the first person that people sees, and I want to dress up in the occasion of, if somebody is coming in here and they have an issue or they have a problem, they feel confident enough to let me know their issue and problem just by the way that I'm dressed. Now, if I took it as, well, this is what I do, this is the only thing that I do, so I'm not gonna sweat it, I'm gonna just, put on whatever, and it is what it is. I mean, I could do that, I could have that attitude, but I just feel like you go in how you want to be perceived, how you want to be addressed. So if I'm the first person that people see, and if it's an issue, I want them to feel that either I can fix the problem, or I can get them to who's going to fix the problem. And for my younger people, I see a lot of people doing interviews, and I just feel like sometimes when you dress up for an interview, you want to make sure that what you have on is going to speak to that interviewer, to say, this person is well kept, this person took their time to get ready for this interview, this person seems to be putting their best foot forward, confident, and would take their job seriously. Just by putting on clothing could already put you a step ahead of people that you're going against for that job. So I just felt that, especially with the platform, fitness, fashion, finance, and life, that this would be a perfect topic to talk about today. So with that being said, I see a lot of our younger females dressing like they're going to perform. Like, I get it with, with our people are entertainment, they perform, they do this, but that's their job. Like, they have to basically dress for the people in the back, as so to speak. So they have to like overdo it, or they have to dress up a certain way to get attention that they're looking for as they perform. But that does not mean that you bring it into your everyday life, or when you go out, that's how you would dress. Now, like I said, I'm not here to push my fashion sense on anybody, but I just feel like, sometimes we find ourselves in certain situations because of how we dress. And especially like, when I was going out and going to the club and stuff like that, and I would dress a certain way. And the reason why I would dress like that was because maybe I wanted the type of attention that I knew this outfit would bring me. And two, it's just, I wanted the attention that I knew this I was going to bring me. Like, let's call a spade a spade. But when you get attention that you don't want from the person that you don't want it from, I feel like at this point, all you can do is kind of blame yourself, because you put on this and you look like you're seeking the attention. And sometimes with our, male counterparts, some can be very aggressive because they feel like, oh, well, you got that type of outfit on, or why you wore that if you don't want that type of attention. Granted, I'm grown, I pay for my own clothes, I can do what I want to do, but if we're going to play devil's advocate, I just feel like, at this point, they kind of got a point. Because if I'm coming out with, a bodysuit showing all my curves and showing everything that God has given me, and you don't expect anybody to react to that, and sometimes the reaction that you think you're going to get might be something totally different. So that's why I'm saying kind of be careful of what you have on, because you want to put on attire of how you want to be addressed and how you want to be perceived. Now, I'm not saying put on a 3-piece suit when you're going out to the club, but what I am saying is be mindful of the things that you are wearing because of the type of environment that you will be in. Especially if it's like an environment that you're not used to, like if you're going out of town and stuff like that, you want to put on something that complements your body type and complements you, but not giving the green light as attracting something that you don't want. And, people might listen to this and be like, oh, she just saying, like, this is overboard. This is like, she doesn't know what she's talking about. But I've been around the block or two, and I know that just by putting on clothes, you will attract attention that you don't want. So I think it's, safe to say that clothing is pretty much its own language. Clothing is pretty much its own language, because depending on what I have on, it's telling you that I am on my shit, I'm on my game, or it's telling you that I have money, or it's telling you that I don't want to be bothered, or it's telling you that I'm on this level and you're not. Like with different designers, like, why do we buy these designers? Why do we buy these shoes, these bags? Because we want to say we have money without saying we have money. Because what would be the purpose of us buying it? Because some of the stuff doesn't even look good, to tell you the truth. Like, let's be honest, let's be real. Some of it doesn't even look good, but we still buy it because it symbolizes a certain social status. And, you know, like I said, when you go out, you want to dress how you want to be addressed or how you want to be perceived. So if you go out and you have on $900 pair of shoes, or if you have on Alexander McQueen's or whatever, what have you, Balenciagas, or you got on a Chanel bag or a Gucci bag, you're basically saying that I'm a part of this social status and I want you to treat me as such. Clothing basically has its own language. I mean, you can believe it or not, it has its own language. Clothing is a science. Clothing is a science. Fashion is a science. It's not just said like by Deion Sanders, like when you look good, you feel good. When you feel good, you play good. And when you play good, they pay good. That's not a saying. It's science. Let's go to the enclosed cognition illustrates how clothing impacts human cognition based on the co-occurrences of the symbolic meaning and the physical wearing of the attire. The term was coined by, I'm going to probably mess up his name, Hayo Adam and Adam D. Galinsky, who exhibited the phenomenon with an experiment in 2012 using white laptop. They hypothesized that worn attire affects the wearer's psychological processes due to the activation of abstract concepts through its symbolic meaning. So just like I was saying before, when you have on a $900 pair of shoes, or if you just have on where it says Balenciaga, Gucci, Chanel, it's a symbolic meaning behind it. So when I put this on, this is what I am symbolically telling you how I want to be perceived. So when I put on a cat suit, I'm using this to symbolically tell you the attention that I want. Even though you might just feel like you the baddest in this cat suit. You feel good when you wear it. You just, you know, feel like that girl. But you have to be careful, because you feeling like that girl when you leave the house is a whole nother animal when you go out into the world and how you're perceived. And that's how you're going to be addressed. So I understand, you know, people can put on what they want to put on. It's my money, it's my body. I can put on what I want. I look good. You know, I feel good in this. I'm going to the club. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I get it. But your clothing is unspoken. It's the unspoken language. It's a language of its own. Clothing is talking without you talking. If you want to say something without saying something when you enter the room, put on a suit. Don't let it be fitted. Don't let it be suited and booted. Don't let your makeup be done to the gods. Don't let your hair be laid, because when you walk in the room, you're owning it. You're showing that this is, you know, how I want to be perceived. I'm telling you without telling you. The same with the male. You have on a nice 3-piece. Don't let it be double-breasted. Don't let that vest be popping on the inside. Don't let you have some cufflinks, because it's just the little details. It's what, especially if it's a woman that pays attention to detail. When you have on stuff like that, especially in the right setting, it's like, who is that? It's like you start talking in your head trying to figure out who is this person. They ain't say nothing to you. They haven't even opened their mouth yet. But you're already in your head about this person, because you're like, well, I wonder what he does, or I wonder what she does, or, oh, like, you know, if you have enough courage, let me get to know her. Let's see, you know, what she's about or what he's about, because you already, this has spoken for you. So you got to be careful of what you put on, because your clothes is how you want to be perceived. Your clothes is how you want to be addressed. So if you go out looking like a superhero, and no shade, because I mean, they make those type of clothes for a reason, you're going to be portrayed as such. Like, I mean, it is what it is. Excuse me. It is what it is. So I'm not here to down. Don't use this video to make it seem like I'm trying to down anybody or anything like that. I'm just giving you the science behind clothing. Why do we wear certain clothing? Why do we have so many categories in clothing? We have the minimalistic, we have classy, we have trendy, we have all these different categories in clothing, because whatever or however you see yourself in those different categories is how you want to be perceived. If you see yourself as classy, chic, when you put on clothing, that's what you're basically saying to your audience, or that's what you're saying to wherever you're going, that I am this type of woman or this type of guy. If you're trendy, you're going to dress in the latest trends. So if I go on your Instagram page, or if I see you often and this is what I'm getting from you, I'm gonna be like, oh, they're trendy. Like, I like their, it makes it feel like they're upbeat, they're up with the latest. And without even knowing them, to me, it's perceiving that, they have, somewhat of a positive attitude. They're always, upbeat. They're always on the latest. They're always, in the know when it comes to fashion. So it's just, I'm sorry guys, it's just how you dress is that unspoken language. It's talking without talking. Just like if I see somebody that dresses homely, it's gonna give somewhat of an attitude of either they are quiet, or they don't really go out as much, or they're not social. These type of things, what you put on, is what people are talking to themselves in their head. And I'm just giving you facts. I'm just letting you know, this is the things that we think about when we see people in clothing. When we see you in an outfit, or because sometimes, like, have you ever heard of your first impression should be your best impression? Because especially when you're going on a date, and I have this on what I looked up about dating and job interviews, like with hiring. And if I'm gonna come on here and talk, I'm gonna, at least, especially with fashion, because that's what I like, I'm gonna look it up. So a lot of times if I'm talking, it might be just from experience or what I've seen, but some of it I'm going to look up, and it's gonna be something like scientific. It's gonna be something to basically like fact and point. I'm not just coming on here rambling. I'm going to give some kind of fact behind it. Why am I on here if I'm not going to give you some kind of factual? Let me see if I can find it. I hate when I'm on here and I try to find something and can't. Okay, so it says fashion is an essential part of human experience. Important choices such as hiring or dating someone are often based on the clothing people wear. And yet, we understand almost nothing about the objective features that make an outfit fashionable. So, when you go on, like I said before, when you go on a job interview and what you wear, or when you're going on a date and what you wear, you're talking to me without talking to me. So if I didn't even take the time out to put on something nice, depending on where I'm going, it has a lot to do with what atmosphere we're going to be in, where we're going, of how I'm going to dress. And if I didn't even try to put any effort into it, I don't blame the other person if they don't call back or if they don't text or they don't, because this is my first impression. So I want to put my best foot forward. If I'm on a job and if I'm qualified, but I'm dressed pretty much like I really don't care, if I don't get a call back, I'm not going to be upset. I'm going to be mad at myself because this was the first thing they seen before I opened my mouth. So this is telling them what all they need to know. What comes out of your mouth is the icing on the cake. Point blank, period. If I come in dressed to the nines, appropriate for the job, appropriate for the date, everything that comes out of my mouth is just icing on the cake, because your mouth can fry chicken. Your mouth can fry chicken. And what I mean by that, you can say whatever you want to say. You can be and you can sell yourself however you want to sell yourself. But if you don't look the part, all what's coming out of your mouth is this is the other person on the other side, either your interview or your date. And they're going to keep it moving because it's like you didn't even try to come appropriately to the occasion. So we're going to pass. Regardless if you're qualified or not, we're going to pass, because really, if you were that qualified, you would have dressed a little bit better than what you came, how you came. And the same on a date. If I'm going on a date and I see that you're barely trying, but you claim you have all this going on and this and that, I'm going to basically be like, you know, I mean, it sounds great, but I don't even want to go forward, because the way that I am and how I perceive myself and how I want to go out, I want to have somebody that's like-minded. So if you can't even dress for the occasion, that tells me that either that's something that you really don't care about. And I get it. There are some people that do not care about how they dress. They just feel like they want to dress for comfort. But there are ways that you can dress for comfort and still look presentable. So don't use that as an excuse to just dress and look like who did it and why. Because there's a lot of comfortable ways you can dress, and that's under minimalistic, where it's pretty much comfort and it's not too much, but it's enough to where you look presentable. So if that is you and you're having issues with trying to find the right things to put on and for your body type, and body type is a science as well. You have to learn your body type to figure out what looks good on you and what complements your body. Because I am a inverted triangle. So I have very broad shoulders. My hips are narrow. So I wear a lot of blazers because it evens out the playing field from my shoulders and my hips. So it gives the illusion of having a proportioned shoulder to hip ratio. If I know that I'm not wearing a blazer and I have on a top, if my top is tight, my bottoms are loose. And with the type of, and this is for all girls, high waist jeans are your friend. Even if you have the flattest of flat stomach, fitting it gives a little extra oomph to what you're trying to do. Skinny jeans, I have one pair. I wear them, but because my hips are not as broad where it gives that nice hourglass, I might be giving them away because I don't reach for them at all. But that's neither here or there. That's more of the fashion part of my personal styling. But I'm on here to kind of give you insight that you are dressing how you want to be perceived, whether it's minimalistic, whether it is classic, whether it's chic, whether it's even grunge. Grunge is a category, and you can dress grunge, but you have to kind of find way to do it with grunge. I wouldn't go on a job interview dressing in grunge. Now, if that's your personal style as far as grunge, you might be able to fit it in some way, somehow, but you still would want to wear the proper attire to certain things and places. So, yeah, I just wanted to come on here and kind of just give my opinion, my aspect on dressing up and dressing how you want to be perceived and dressing how you want to be addressed, because I just see that a lot of times we going out dressed in a certain kind of way, and then we kind of get offended when we are perceived or if we're dressed. I said before, you can dress how you want. It's your money, it's your, you go out and shop, you go out and do it, you can buy whatever you want to buy, but you just have to be careful, because clothing is that silent language. It just is. It just is. Because once you leave your four walls, everything that you feel that you're going to be perceived as might not be the same when you go out in the world. Have on a cat suit, you can, dress up with like a nice oversized, jacket. I had a cat suit where I would put on like a nice army fatigue jacket and put some nice little, boots on or whatever. I still have on the cat suit, but it's not where it's screaming, look at me, because it has something to kind of cover it. Now, depending on where I'm at, if I feel like, okay, I want to kind of just, be a little risque, I'll take off the jacket, but I still have that jacket to be able to shield it, to make it look more presentable and more of, okay, we're not playing those type of games tonight. So yeah, it is what it is. We wear clothes for a reason, and that silent language that everybody speaks. And you can go into any country and clothing is pretty much a way of how they speak to each other without speaking. Because if you go to another country, they have different clothing, and sometimes the clothing, it might have different patterns or what have you, because it's basically telling you about either their social status or whatever it is. So yeah, clothing is just, it's amazing if you do it right. Clothing is very good if you do it right. Just wanted to come on here and just kind of give my insight on dress how you want to be perceived, dress how you want to be addressed. So I am Coco, and I am your host, and this is Bella Talk. See you guys later.